And thanks for staying on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Morno Balagogo. We've got a great show for you as always. Today we will be focusing on the outcome of the Ondo governorship election. Yes, it happened on Saturday, but we've seen opposition candidates of Governor Ayedatiwa come out to really express their grievances despite the results of the election. Well, here is a rundown of our talking points. First will be X-raying voter apathy, a look at political parties' rejection of poll results. What are the issues? We'll get into that. And finally, more to do about power of incumbency. Joining us is the right person to give us his thoughts on some of the concerns being raised. The PDP State Secretary for Ondo State, Barrister Sheye Olujumi, and he will be joining us shortly via video call all the way from Ondo State. Well, we'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll get into the details. To stay with us. Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa of the ruling All Progressive Congress was declared the winner by the Independent National Electoral Commission after sweeping the 18 local government areas in Ondo State. In the final declaration of the result by the state returning officer, Professor Olayemi Akinwumi, he said that the APC, whose candidate is Lucky Ayedatiwa, were polled in 366,781 votes, while his PDP counterpart, Agbola Ajayi, polled in 117,845 votes. The other political parties could not even poll in a lot of polls, and that's why we don't even have their figures represented on that particular graphic. Well, let's have a listen to Governor Ayedatiwa's comments about the election process.
I'm here in the Bela community. I've just casted my vote at Unit 05, Ugbo Ward 4 in Laje local government area of Ondo State. Here in my unit and the community, it's been calm and peaceful, and the turnout is very, very encouraging. And I want to believe that the same situation will be at the other locations across the state. It's peaceful here. I believe it should be peaceful in other locations. I want to commend the security agency, the police, the civil defense, and the military at the background. They are heavily deployed to be able to attend to any security threat. And I believe the people will comport themselves. We are peaceful people in Ondo State. Ondo State has been adjudged to be one of the most safest and peaceful states in Nigeria. And we'll be having our elections in a peaceful environment.
Of course, there's been so many reactions. The Ondo State governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP Chief Agbola Ajayi, has rejected the results of the election declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and vowed to seek justice at the tribunal. Now, Ajayi, in a statement by his special advisor, Ayo Fadaka, said that he kept silent since the poll results were announced to enable him investigate the contents of criminality perpetrated by both the victorious All Progressive Congress, APC, and INEC. So I'll just read some of the quotes from his thoughts shared on, of course, just on Tuesday. He said, November 16th election, like every other election conducted by INEC since APC assumed power in 2015, continues in the tradition of hijacking the process and delivering results that are diametrically in contrast with expressed electoral desires, thus resulting in promoting voter apathy and total disenfranchisement of the electoral process. And he says, in summary, we reject the results of the November 16th election and will take legal actions to reverse the debauchery that is the option available to them, the PDP, and they are hopeful that man and God, who is the ultimate, will give justice, and it is time we begin to eschew criminality from our electoral process. Well, he's not the only one who's got thoughts about the process. The reinstated Labour Party governorship candidate in the state, Ayodele Olorunfemi, bemoaned his failure to win Saturday's election, blaming former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi and the Nigerian Labour Congress for his predicament. Now, Chief Bamidele Akingboye, the candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, in Saturday's governorship election, has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to declare him the winner of the poll. Now, this is just a quite surprising turn of events. I mean, you will think that since the APC won all 18 local governments, with the civil society organizations, especially Yaga Africa, coming out to say these particular elections were actually free and fair, we would not even be having all of this conversation and all of these concerns. Well, amidst these grievances, the coalition of the INEC accredited observer groups and the International Police Chaplain, Sustainable Development and Law Enforcement have advised the People's Democratic Party, Social Democratic Party, SDP, and other political parties in the state not to choose violence as a means of expressing their dissatisfaction with the outcome of the election. And according to our spokesman, David, of the international group's Sustainability of Social Peace, he said it's crucial for the state. Let's have a listen to what he said. But the question is, will these political participants in this election take heed? Have a listen.
Which, of course, we can't say yet what would happen in Ondo, but we must say, unlike some places where right from the polling unit, agents will begin to fight agents, parties will begin to fight parties over results or outcome. It wasn't seen in Ondo, and we are further encouraging that where they have such contestation or disagreements, they should resort to legal means rather than taking laws into their hands. More intense voters' education and mass sensitization by both electoral body, that's the INEC, and political parties should be made.
Joining us live from Ondo State is the Secretary of the PDP in Ondo State, Barrister Sheye Olujimi. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Mamolo.
So what's your personal experience in the election process? Allegations here and there thrown at the APC and INEC. So how did it play out? I want your own experience of what happened on Saturday.
Let me appreciate you for having me. And I must confess, this will be the second interview I'll be granting and the first TV interview after the election. So I will call it a post-election interview. Believe you me, the experience have not been palatable at all. This election that we do in a recent time, that the issue of election buying will be like a normal norms, whereby people will bring out money openly without the security agencies trying to stop them or try to make arrests or trying to refer them to necessary or trying to refer the necessary arms of government, that is the ICPC or EFCC, to come do some or make some arrests. It will be the first election that is like a give and take, buying and selling. And you have been seeing it on many fora or many, for history, like the recording being done by one of the TV stations. And let me even say it, the TVC, where you saw a woman that said it in Yoruba dialect. He said, Ati Dibo. You know, meaning we voted and we were giving money. And, you know, she was in company with, she was with about two daughters or a daughter, I can't really remember now, whereby they're trying to tap her, not to say so. So it's the kind of election that they seem to treat as something normal. So people that are voting for the first time, maybe people that just become of age, 18 years old, they will see it as an avenue to go for the highest bidder. So the issue of looking at integrity, looking at party structure, looking at party manifesto is just a waste of time, whereby the highest bidder will just take the day. So my personal experience has been that which I think is not palatable for our democracy at all. It is that which make me realize that no matter what of past is, no matter how bad what I've viewed of self, in terms of character, in terms of composure, in terms of integrity, just come to an election, you can still be voted for, provided you have what we call this money. And the ISB that take is all. I mean, that's just the situation of the whole day. And that is my recent experience in the recent time.
Now, talking about vote buying, was your party able to make a case for hardened evidence to push this case forward to the security operatives?
Subject and predicate proof now. They are subject and predicate proof. We have them all over. You know, I have to be very careful anytime I'm making a kind of submission like this. I don't say things I don't say. I just don't say things I've not heard of. Say, for instance, in my own unit, everything went peacefully, truth be told. But in some units, we saw a situation whereby the policemen stood there. They were even asking, don't you have your own party security? And that person was even trying to ask them, how do you make party security? That's someone that can secure vote for them to the case. That's the kind of force. You know, it has been to our notice that what about the essence of security agencies, especially the police? It has a direct code on the part of police, you know. And secondly, at times, you know, even though we realize there is little or nothing they can do in form of repelling some kind of forces, because truth be told, they are not allowed to go with some weapons to election polling booths, or unless they go with that battle, you know. So all those things are factor militating against some of those things. But truth be told, most of our security agencies compromise the election. It was obvious in a situation whereby vote buying is just like everybody should come. If you have your previously come, this is the money I'm going to pay you. You know, we have that all over. Almost in about 80% or about 85-90% of the polling booths. So what does you want us to say about this? We have it on social media. People have been posting it. We have some video evidence to that effect. So it's not a game thing, you know, because the more you say this, the more people will start saying maybe someone is just trying to cry over a Spielberg. But that's not the point. Truth be told, it's so alarming, it's so embarrassing, and it's a kind of setback to our political settings, so to speak.
Now, on INEC's part, we talk about partiality, but I recall reading the report from Yaga Africa saying that just 7% of the poll can be said to be somewhat influenced by INEC in terms of being partisan. What's your response to that?
Don't forget one fact that the likes of some observers like Yaga Africa and the likes, they stand to be an unbiased empire, you know. They are not political parties. And if this thing is coming from Yaga Africa, that have been able to build their names over the years, they have been able to build their reputations, they've been able to participate in some elections, of course, yes. It's a plus on their part, because they will do that which will give credibility to our election. And that is the order of the day. We have been saying this over time. So we have been trying something about those things. All we said was that the rec in those states, we gave some reason as to why she should be changed. And so why she should be changed pending when we have this election, and she can be replaced thereafter. We said she has been in Ondo State, she grew up in Ondo State, she has friends and families and relatives in Ondo State, you know, even though she's not from Ondo State, but for the fact that she has lived in Ondo State for more than 30 years is a sign that it is not unlikely that she will compromise. And it's just a matter of, it's just like we're able to see all these things have been issued. And at the end of the day, we've been able to establish the partiality of the island. Let me just stop at that. And thank God it's coming from a neutral body that's not a political party, which happens to be Observer, you know, the Yaga and the likes. So this is it's just so sad. It's just so sad because when you see people that have to stand in a place of an unbiased empire trying to take side. And we've been shouting all this while. We've been saying this all this while. People were saying it's a sign of failure on our part. It's a sign of, you know, in my play, there's a kind of adage where they say, what a man sees, why sitting down, a young man will not sit even while standing up. We've been able to visualize it, to be able to foresee this, because due to some information we've had, and we came out to talk about this, and we gave a series of press releases. But what do we say of this? They refuse to change that. They maintain status quo, and at the end of the day, you can see the indictment on the part of INEC. So these are the things we've been saying.
Now, you raised this issue of the REC chairman. I mean, INEC has prior to this time, made the case that having a residence in Akure does not really hamper the abilities of her to influence the poll. And I recall even before the poll on Saturday, I think on Friday, I spoke with the elections officer of Yaga Africa, and he was also not speaking for INEC now, but was talking to me about the fact that, I mean, that should not really be a thing of concern since this particular woman has been working for INEC for a very long time. So it's not as if she just came into that position and then was made the rec chairman of the state. So how do you respond to some of these thoughts shared by INEC and also Yaga Africa?
Take for instance, the reason why I have to say this is this. You know, at times when you have an institution and you are trying to see some people trying to checkmate it, it's just like a political party, whereby when we have the ruling party, we have the opposition party, and you can never underestimate the power or the function of the opposition party trying to checkmate the ruling party. What we are saying is this. We are not trying to teach INEC what to be done, but we are trying to be a partner in progress. We are a major stakeholder. And what we brought to their table is to the fact that, see, we brought up the point that social person who is your rep has lived in social places for 30 years. Thereby, if she should be a politician, she can vote and be voted for because she has lived for more than 10, 20, 30 years. And we said that it is not unlikely that she must have made friends, families over the years. Say, for instance, I think maybe she was taken to a neutral place, maybe in the north where she had little or no friends. It is likely that the level at which she will relate, you know, will be so different from where she grew up from, where she had friends. She will move on to offend some people. It's even likely she will be friends with some of us in PDP. We brought out all these facts and we told them that these are many more of the reasons why she just had to. Because we're a major stakeholder. We are not trying to teach them their job. We are only trying to put them on their toes. However, I didn't mean that this was done tentatively. Maybe she was being removed and brought back after. This will have allayed some of our fears. And what do we now have now? These are many more are playing now. I'm not trying to avoid the question. And it's to the fact that the issue of let have little or no. Had it been that she was removed or she was told to step down, don't forget, most of all these INEC staffs, most of all these adult staff, we have to sit back, knowing fully well that we are watching, knowing fully well that when we see something, we say something. And it's not unlikely that this must have given a kind of checkmate to the process and give a kind of coloration, a kind of unbiased coloration and credibility to the conduct of this past election. That's what we are saying. That's what we are saying.
Now, your candidate has rejected the results and is poised to fight this election in court. As a lawyer, do you think that your party will be able to make a strong case against the APC?
We all know that the court is the last hope of the common man. You know, as a lawyer, I want to be careful with my submission. As a lawyer, I want to be careful with the way I give a kind of coloration to our judiciary. But the fact of the said that we have corruptions. We have corruption within judiciary. But that does not mean all judges are corrupt. That does not mean the process of our judiciary is corrupt. It still remains the last hope of the common man. And we believe in the process. Because when we see things happening in Nigeria, that does not mean we just accept and make it known that it's a common trend where it will be it. We believe we have one or two things which I would just like to go into deeply to say in the tribunal. The reason why our flag bearer, the gubernatorial candidate of People's Democratic Party, His Excellency Agbola Ajayi, put us together with the party members, and we're like, fine, let's go to the third arm of government, which is the judiciary, and we see that as the last of the common man. If you don't believe in judiciary, of course, there won't be any reason why we should go. And the fact that we agree with me that we have some corrupt practices in one way or the other, that does not mean the whole thing is that bad. And let me sincerely appreciate the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kekere. In the recent time that she has gotten there, truth be told, we've been seeing different charges, the way they have been charging the judges and the justices, and we agree with me that the sky is a limit. And it's not unlikely, like I will say, that our judiciary is getting to be that which we can always have trust in, and we can sleep that twice close, knowing fully well that we are going to attain or get that justice that is well deserved. So be it. So let's just go to court as we believe we have um, some cases or some points to prove. And since we believe in our last hope of we common man, of course, let it be. And let us just stop at that.
Now, talking about making a strong case, let's look at the results again. We've got the graphics. APC over 300 plus votes, and then 100K plus for your party. Now, do recall that almost 2 million people were registered for this election. As a party official, what do you think was responsible for people not really showing up to the polls? I mean, you earlier on talked about voter intimidation, but I want you to expatiate further on why you think people did not show up.
I am a student of history. When you look at the voting pattern of people in Ondo State, you will realize that people that don't vote are less than 500. It has been the normal norms. Because when you look at the last election that we had in Ondo State, people that voted were less than 500. It's not even less than about 400, so to speak. Because the APC had about 200 and, I can't remember how far now, 265 or something. Because the PDP had 160 something, because the difference then was about 95,000 votes. And what do we have now? You know, we have about 368 to 117,000. No, come on, no, it can't be that bad. Let's even assume, without considering, that we lost woefully and gallantly. It shouldn't be that bad. It shouldn't be that bad. We are a political party, the major opposition party. You know, even looking at our members alone, you know, I'm just saying, not get me wrong, assuming without considering, and they are now saying that we lost with almost 245,000 votes. Come on. This is being rejected in its own entirety. Even when you look at some local government where we believe we have the presence of PDP, where we have most of our strength, of course, we can see a lot of manipulations going on there. You know, even look at the local government that our candidate came from, Ondo. They saw the result, you know, as to what came out from there. How can they give us half of what APC has? No, these things are not realistic. What are they trying to prove? Even when you look at my own local government, the federal local government, of course, we all know that it's one of the local government that we have the presence of PDP. And that's why we have our DG campaign. Engineer Clement Fabu. You know, even look at Ijore local government, for instance. That's where we have the only House of Representative from PDP. You know, and what they were able to do is we have a lot of violence that happened there, because it was the last place we did we had our campaign rally prior to that preceded the grand finale. Of course, the crowd was intimidating. The man is being loved by his people. But I know what will come out of people's mind is that, of course, crowd does not translate to election. But don't forget the fact that this is the holy man that we have in the House of Representatives. And what do we have about the results? APC had about 900 and something, while PDP had 8,000, meaning they presume to lead with about 120 votes. And don't forget, the local government remains one of the local government that we had about 4 to 5 snatching of ballot boxes, just because they want to perfect that particular 18-0, meaning they want to win all the 18 local governments by all means, either by inducement, by inflation of results, by ballot snatching. Of course, they did all that. And all they keep saying now is 18-0. We've never had this bad, you know. We've never had this bad. And it can't be this bad, because in the recent times, this will be the first time PDP will be coming together stronger ever since we've been losing the election, and what we have from this now, we're losing all the local government. We agree with them that these are not realistic. They are not realistic. And for us to even lose, they told us we had the result of losing about with 245,000 votes. No, it's a big blow below the belt, which have been packaged by so-called APC and their cohort. No, I find this to be unacceptable, and it's a slap on democracy. That's just what I'm just saying.
Now, let's move away from that and talk about the power of incumbency, which was what some of my colleagues in the media had been putting to the governor. Like, this was a major concern for him. So you think that's responsible for why your party did not perform well in this election? Do recall that Ayedatiwa had revealed in an interview that most of the structures in the PDP had collapsed for the APC. So looking at the results, would you say that was why you did not, your party did not do so well, and your candidate Ajayi did not do well in this election?
To be told, you can't underrate the power of incumbency. That's the harsher part. Because they have the machinery to use, they have the government proxy in form of cars, logistics, in form of human factor. They have a lot of that to use. But that does not mean that they can't be defeated. Look at what happened in Ondo. People were resolute. The same way they are resolute, or they were resolute in Ondo State. People are tired of this government. You can see what is happening all over the country. People, they've been able to make up their mind that this is the government of our own, and we are going to take it by voting. But truth be told, we have a lot of inducements because people have been made. Well, don't let me digress anyway. Back to your question, is as to why the party structure of so-called Ayedatiwa keep getting stronger. And I think that's what we have. The fact remains that you can't underrate the power of incumbency. And truth be told, we have some people that left PDP after the primaries. And this is not unconnected to the desperation that they just want their name to be on ballot paper. Because we had the most freest, the most credible primary election in the history of Nigeria, which was even televised and filmed live by most of the TV stations. But what do we see of that of APC? It was full of chaos, it was full of intimidation. They kept on settling all this their dispute thereafter. Some people even went to the election reluctantly with the government. But to say that most of our big guns decamped, and that has really crumbled our party, is a no-no. Because the same way we have some big guns decamping from the ruling party, it is the opposition party before this election. So it's a give and take. And in the history of PDP in Ondo State, it will be the first time that we have the massive inflow of the campaigns from the ruling party. When you have state of government, and then we use people decamping from opposition or from ruling party to opposition. You always see the reverse, whereby you see people decamping from opposition to ruling party. But we have the reverse of the case now, because we have most of people that are not even ready to work with Comrade. That's why, those that belong to some camps, they all came together. So for them to say that some big guns leaving the party have collapsed the party, weakened the party, and made that was stronger, is a no-no. It's a no-no, and it's a no-no. What has led to the emergence and the declaration of Ayedatiwa, the governor of Ondo State winner, is full of corruption in its entirety. It's full of corruption, it's full of massive vote buying and manipulation. Because when you look at people of Ondo State, in spite of what they presume to be the vote buying, you will see the results at different polling booths being close. They are very close to one another. But you will realize that most of the things we have on high rate is very different from what we have with our party coalition agents. I think you can always take the hint from what I've said so far. So that's just the case.
Now, still talking about the conduct of this election, I still recall looking at some of the comments shared with us by the Yaga Africa personnel, who was talking about the fact that INEC conducted smooth transmission of results from IREF. I know that is different. It's not just about uploading results to IREF, but are the results tallying from what party agents got at the polling stations unit? And I know that's the concern you are raising. Is this thing general? How would you say, what's the proportion of error?
As, as a triplicate of what we have with our polling agent that we have on IREF, it's not all. I would like to mention those places. It's not all. And like I said, tribunal, that is the court, which we believe will be the last hope of a common man, will see to that and look at all these things. So I know Yaga have tried their best, but well, there's a limit to what they can do. There's a limit to what they can see. And that's why we are running to court for the interpretation of most of all those things. So that is just it.
Now, you're the secretary of the PDP in Ondo State. I would love to know that, did you think Ajayi gave his best in this particular election, looking at campaign engagement, which is one of the issues, some civil society organizations had raised prior to this election? The issue of engagement, and not just from your own party too, but also the APC, because only 300,000 people plus people voted in this election, looking at the figure that were registered to vote.
Oh no, the answer is capital no. The answer is capital no. Let me tell you something. The primary election that brought in our candidate, like I said, was adjourned to be the fairest in the history of primaries in Nigeria. And secondly, it will be the first time in history that we have a party primaries that won't have any single form of petition coming from any of the candidates. It's in form of changing of delegate lists, to manipulation of election results, to the it was so clear. And it's an indication that he is popular among the folks of PDP. However, he was selected, he was nominated by his people, he put in for his election, and he won with a white margin. He had almost 260 something, I can't know it offhand. And the next contender, he got it with over 100 votes. Over 100 votes. So it shows that he is popular. It shows that he is popular. That one is one. And secondly, we had an encompassing issue-based campaign. We turned around the 18 local government. There's no one single local government that we did not go to compared to that of the ruling party. I'm not saying we didn't talk all the 18 local government. There are some local governments that we went around their wards. We have almost 203 wards. The president of PDP was being failed in the campaign on all the 203 wards. We had an encompassing campaign in all the 18 local governments. So where is the regret coming from? We did everything humanly possible to deliver on those from the obscurity and shackles of APC, And we did, after the issue-based campaign, after enough sensation on radios and TV, after enough unity meetings, because compared to APC, there's no place of unity meetings or ward meetings because we keep monitoring them closely, even in my ward. So they have their own plan to reach, to induce, right from the onset. But according to our name, the People's Democratic Party, we did all that which we can do, everything humanly possible, to campaign, contest, win an election. But what we have now is opposite of what we bargained for. And the money is why we said, no, when we accept this, let's go to that place which will be the last result. And that is the tribunal. So there's no regret of any form because he was being chosen by the whole of the PDP through a credible primary election. So where's the regret coming from? So that is it about that.
Okay, now I wanted to bring your attention to the fact that the president just, sent a new nominee for a rec officer for your state. Now, as an opposition, how do you respond to this? Because your candidate was calling for INEC to sack the current officer for your state, but they did not do that despite your concerns and also the concerns of some other political parties. So are you surprised by this new move by the president, just a few days ago, calling for the Senate to approve some of his candidates?
I think I would like to reserve my comment about that because I don't want to be emotional with my submission. I will appreciate if I can just skip that particular aspect. So just let it be that way.
Barrister, why don't you want to give us your thoughts on that? But anyway, you're trying to be diplomatic. I understand that. Now, quickly, I wanted to get your thoughts. With this victory, do you fear a one-party state for Nigeria? I mean, you look at Edo State in the hands of APC. Your state still remains in the hands of APC. Practically looking like all the Southwest states are going to be going for the APC party. So what are your concerns regarding one-party state, and if it's good for our nation?
Because I am a realistic person, it's looking as if everything is turning or scooting towards one party system with the look of things. Because this life, even without a political flavor or affiliation, is a kind of give and take. And we agree with me that there should also be a kind of checkmating in whatever we do. But when we are doing everything possible, even though we agree with me that the aim of any political party is to contest, win an election. But when you are trying to win this by force, using all the machineries that you have, using everything within your means, it becomes so worrisome. We had candidates saying they're going to take a door by force, fine. They did all they could, and we saw all the manipulation they did. We thought it would be a different thing in those states. Look at what they've done. And they have made both to say that NASS is Oshu and NASS is Oyo State, meaning all the 6 states in Southwest want to be taken over by APC. However, I won't be surprised if we want to decide that they want to take over all the states in Nigeria. Then where is that in democracy? Does that mean the other political parties are crippled? Does that mean they don't have anybody there? So what we are saying is it's becoming worrisome. But one thing I can say is this, like people will say in my adage, by the time you ride on a horse and you keep on falling, you have to go back and respect that again as to how to master the horse riding, meaning that's the summary in my dialect. We have to master how to come back strong and strong again. And I think even when they think or they wish that this is or the country should come to a one-party system, we are not going to tarry. Not that we're going to withdraw from playing that opposition role, as the case may be, pending when we keep telling people and we make them realize the reason why they have to just on a new leaf and bring in new government. And I think that is what we are going to do, pending when we get the results from the tribunal. We are not going to relent to play this opposition role very well. So I don't believe they are going to turn into a one-party system, even though it's becoming worrisome. But that's what they're trying or they're treating towards. So it's becoming worrisome indeed.
All right, Barrister, before you go, as a lawyer, what are some of the recommendations for amendments in the Electoral Act based on what you saw in the Edo State governorship election and also in Ondo?
At times when I look at the Electoral Act, when I look at our constitution, and they keep calling for amendments, this particular constitution and Electoral Act is semi-perfect to lead us right. It's not that the intent and intention of we, the political players, is not right. Take for instance, in a state whereby you keep collecting allocation, revenue, and you have what it takes to perfect a particular road or construction for a period of 1 year, 6 months, and you keep extending it for 4 years. Does that mean you have a good political way? So we have to shoot our own narrative. We have to purge ourselves of any form of sentiment to start with. Even though we still have some of all these aspects of electoral law that we should think, we still have some and some. But the point is, the most worrisome part is the issue of monetizing the election. The issue of monetizing the election, I think it has become a kind of pandemic that has come to stay. You know, when we had COVID pandemic the other time, we did all we could to let it go. You know, when we had the kind of polio outbreak in those days, we did all we could do to get a kind of vaccination for it. But this particular boat buying, it has never been this worse. You know, at times before now, maybe you see people trying to get themselves signed, going to the back door to go and get the voters paid. But now, they brought the money out, go and vote, come and take. You know, they keep, so even when you see some people doing gathering that they keep saying it, we voted and we are being paid. You know, it has become a normal norms. So I just pray that the civic education they keep teaching our kids in school, they will include it that one of the rare ways to do election is you vote at the age of 18, you go to your polling booth, you get ballot paper, you trumpet with your hand. Secondly, you get paid. I hope they won't put a particular clause in there and you get paid. So is that worse? I think that's the only thing I just wish they can frown at, and they can do everything possible to guide against. Anything aside that, people will vote their conscience. People will vote for that person who they think they should vote for. That's just the only thing I can just say concerning that.
Well, that's the much we can take for now. Barrister Sheye, thank you so much for being with us on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, you're still watching Politics Now. We'll take a quick breather. When we come back, I've got update for you regarding the bill on diaspora voting. It has scaled through second reading. What does this mean? How important is it for our residents, who were residents in the country, were citizens actually, but now outside the country, getting to vote in our elections? We'll talk about that after the break. Stay with us.
What makes the political system what it is today? What are the recurring issues?
Order.
The tussle for power.
An extremely problematic area.
The tension. The instability of the system. Join Ellen 24/7 as we take you inside the local and international political arena in the world of politics.
Apologize for saying that I was corrupt.
I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
Watch Politics Now on Ellen 24/7.
Don't miss Politics Now on Ellen 24/7.
Glad to know you're still on to LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Mono Balagogo. And just before we go, I wanted to update you about a bill to amend the Constitution and provide for diaspora voting, which has scaled second reading in the House of Representatives on Wednesday. Now, this is very big. Come to think of it, over 100 plus countries are actually allowing this to go. But how come Nigeria has not yet, gotten to this particular position? Well, the bill co-sponsored by Speaker Abbas Tajuddin and Sadiq Abdullahi seeks to amend the 2022 Electoral Act and provide opportunities for Nigerians in diaspora to vote. The bill was passed for a second reading in July and had been referred to the Committee on Electoral Matters for further legislative action. However, after scaling the second reading on Tuesday, it has been referred to the Constitution Amendment Committee for further legislative action. So that means there is a whole lot that still has to go on for this to become a reality. Now, this is quite interesting given the interest of the diaspora in our elections. If you even look at, I think at a particular time on this show, I've had the opportunity to interview the APC chairman for the United States during the course of the 2023 presidential election Supreme Court verdict or so. So you can see that Nigerians outside the country are very interested in what's going down home. Now, let's just give you some information. Now, diaspora voting is also known as resident citizen voting. Now, we've got some graphic, if we'll be able to have it for you. You should know that non-resident citizen voting is citizens voting in elections according to their citizenship while not residing in the country of the election. Now, as of 2020, a total of 141 countries grant non-residents, such as immigrants or expatriates the right to non-resident citizen voting. And there is considerably variation across countries in regard to voter eligibility, voting modalities, that is, voting in person at diplomatic missions or other physical locations by post or online, which elections are non-resident citizens may vote in, that is, either elections of national legislature or executive elections, referendums, or subnational elections, and how non-resident citizen voters are represented. Now, why countries allow non-resident citizens to vote? There's just some key reasons. We've got graphics, if they could be up. Now, the first one is that the country is supposed to benefit from emigrants. That is, states that hope that emigrants will be more likely to contribute to the economy of their country of origin through remittances or show loyalty in other ways if they have the right to vote in that country's elections. And this is very important. You know, the president keeps talking about driving foreign investments. Another way to bring in investment, I mean, is looking at those foreign, remittances, you know, from citizens who are outside the country, sending dollars, sending euros, yens, wherever there is in any part of the world. These monies go on to affect the economy because they send monies to their loved ones back at home. So this is another way that the government could engage the diaspora. Now, another point is allowing non-resident citizens to vote may be the result of lobbying by emigrant organizations, and this particular one played a key role in Mexico. So we have a rundown of some of countries that allow diaspora voting. There are so many of them, like I said, I think 100 plus. So it's just so sad that Nigeria is yet to join a particular league of people, of nations rather, and countries who have allowed this to go. And I think it's very, very important. But I mean, we've not been able to secure elections that occur within Nigeria itself. So how is this going to play out if we allow diaspora to vote? I mean, could it be voting via mail-in ballots? That's also a concern too. How will it work? Who is going to be responsible for it? Are the ambassadors who have been assigned to some of these nations, will they be loyal to INEC, or will INEC have to post staff to some of these nations or to all countries of the world to get the votes of people in those countries so that it can reflect back here at home? How is it going to work? Will that be in any way surge the voter turnout? It's quite interesting. But like you heard from my report, this is already up to the National Assembly, who has put up a legislative committee to look into some of the modalities. But I think this is very, very important. When you look at the number of Nigerians outside the country, what are the figures that will really tell on how it will go in impacting the total vote count in a particular election? Do you recall during the 2023 presidential election, we saw President Bola Tinubu at Chatham House. We saw Peter Obi in the United States. And I think more of the APC candidate and the Labour candidate were outside the country engaging Nigerians on what they had to offer to government. So we're going to see politics take a new dimension if these come into play. And for President Bola Tinubu, who always calls himself a progressive, it'll be interesting to see if this bill comes to light within his first term, because that will also determine the 2027 elections. That is so far from now, but I mean, political stakeholders are already commenting on 2027. Who is going to be a candidate? Of course, we definitely know that President Tinubu is coming back come 2027 under the APC, but the PDP, the party, is in a whole lot of crisis. And that doesn't leave the Labour Party either. It's in its own form of crisis. I would say the political party that is not in any form of crisis is perhaps the NNPP. It will be quite interesting to see how things turn out. Now, for this diaspora voting, all the countries that I mentioned, I mean, the United States, there's so many of them. Of course, almost every country in Europe, and I think in Africa, I think Mozambique is also like Nigeria. doesn't allow for diaspora voting, but countries like South Africa, of course, have diaspora voting. Even in Israel, has provision for diaspora voting. But the big question is that in some of these countries that have been mentioned and listed, I mean, for every country, it is different. There are so many conditions to fulfill. Some countries will say, okay, you've got to, you must have stayed 2 years in a particular country before you can vote outside the country. So it will also depend. Now, some countries will say you cannot vote during the presidential election. I mean, you can only vote during national election, but you cannot vote during local elections. So that will mean whatever they come up with this particular bill, I don't really have the details, but we'll get it for you in a short time. Of course, it is still second reading. And that will mean that, but in some of these countries, if you're allowed to vote for the presidential elections, you may not be able to vote maybe for your governorship candidate or for local government elections. Now, in the United States, I mean, it's a different ball game because this particular law, it's different for every state in the United States. So it will be interesting to see what the National Assembly is able to come up with regarding this bill, whatever they're going to modify and the details, and to see how it is going to reflect entirely. But I think what's most important is that this administration is actually looking at this because the diaspora are very concerned about what goes on in the country, and them having a say on who leads in the country is also very, very important. Well, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, my name is Morno Balagogo. See you next time right here on LN 24/7.